I'm Drew Davis, and it's 351 days till I turn 50 years old. Currently, there's 811 million people in the world that are malnourished. And even when I say that number out loud, it's so large, I can't really put my hands around it. In my home state alone, there's 162,000 children who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Last year, we celebrated providing 1.8 million meals, but in truth, we provided less than 1% of the meals needed by the children in one of the smallest states in the nation. When God lays it upon your heart to tackle a problem of this size, it's often overwhelming. The truth is that when we face such daunting tasks, we often just throw our hands up in the air and just give up. Every time I feel God pushing me to do something larger than I feel capable, I'm reminded of a simple story. Once upon a time, there was an old man who used to go to the ocean to do his writing. He had a habit of walking on the beach every morning before he began his work. And early one morning, he was walking along the shore after a big storm had passed and found the beach littered with starfish as far as the eye could see, stretching in both directions. Off in the distance, the old man noticed a small boy approaching. And as the boy walked, he paused every so often. And as he grew closer, the man could see that he was throwing stuff back into the sea. The boy came closer still, and the man called out, "Good morning. What are you doing?" The young boy paused and looked up and replied, saying, "I'm throwing starfish into the ocean. The tide washed them up onto the beach, and they can't return to the sea by themselves. When the sun gets high, they're going to die unless I throw them back in the water." The old man kind of giggled and he says, "But there are tens of thousands of starfish on this beach. I'm afraid you're really not going to make much of a difference." The boy bent down, picked up yet another starfish, and he hurled it into the sea. Then he turned and smiled at the old man. He says, "It made a difference to that one." We serve a God of miracles, but what exactly are we looking for when we say miracles? The Bible uses three main words to refer to a miracle. It's a sign, it's a wonder, it's a power. So much of the time we are praying to God to perform a miracle of power. Like when he took 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread and fed 5,000 people. Or maybe you need the Red Sea to part in your life. But more often than not, his miracles are much quieter. In the early days of the Dream Center, I remember walking into our little house we used for our after school. And when I got to the pantry, I realized we didn't have the food we needed to feed the 20 or so kids who would be showing up that afternoon. It wasn't long after this discovery that there was a knock on the door. And a woman who was standing there told me that she'd just left the grocery store, and while she was there, discovered a flyer she'd gotten at church several months before with a list of food items we needed for our program. To her, this was a sign that she needed to pick up a few extra items. But to me, it was a miracle answer to prayer that God came through once again. I do not know how big the dream God's placed on your heart, but I do know that God doesn't have small dreams. The first summer we offered summer meals, we were excited to provide 633 meals to hungry kids. In the first 10 years, we celebrated a milestone of having served a cumulative 1 million meals. And last year alone, we served over 1.8 million meals. We're still a long way from meeting the needs of our small state. But just like the boy who was saving 1 starfish at a time, I'm believing in the one life we are seeing changed at a time through what started as me being willing to knock on doors and ask, "Is there anything I can do for you?" God is a God of multiplication. And as we learned early on, 0 times anything is always 0. But when we're faithful to show up, do what we can with what we do have, when we're faithful to try and serve the one, that's when God can truly show up with a miracle of multiplication. I'm not sure what's holding you back from chasing your God-given dream, but I can assure you, if God has put it on your heart, surely he's going to show up in a big way with a big miracle when you step out there in faith and perseverance. Whatever your dream is, I want to be there for you, with you, so that we can chase our God-given dreams together.